The rain fell in sheets over San Francisco, streaking the city lights into blurred ribbons on the pavement. Inside his small apartment, Ethan Miller sat hunched over his laptop, the screen casting a pale glow across his pale face. He hadn't slept well in weeks, and the hum of the refrigerator was louder than the sound of his own thoughts. 3 years. 3 years of dedication at a promising startup, and in a single morning, it all evaporated. Laid off, 40% of the team gone. And with it, the identity he had built, his sense of purpose, his pride, his place in the world, vanished too. "What am I even doing?" he muttered to himself. Voice tight, eyes fixed on the blinking cursor. The words felt heavier than anything he'd ever said out loud. He'd spent so long climbing the ladder, working late nights, coding until his fingers cramped, building products he barely believed in, just to feel like he mattered. And now, none of it counted. Claire, his girlfriend, had tried to reach him in the mornings. Messages full of encouragement, of reminders that he was talented, that this wasn't the end. But Ethan couldn't answer. Each notification made his chest tighten, reminded him of the life he thought he'd earned. He scrolled social media obsessively, seeing friends celebrate promotions, new apartments, engagement rings, and the guilt ate him alive. "Why not me?" he whispered. "Why can't I get it right?" In a different time, in a world Ethan had only ever read about, a boy named Kenji Takahashi stood alone in a clearing in the mountains of feudal Japan. He was 13, wiry and pale, gripping a wooden practice sword as his first opponent, a man twice his size, approached. Victory came to him, yes, but not through skill. Luck had favored him that day. His instincts carried him, his fear sharpened him, and yet deep inside, he felt a hollow satisfaction. This wasn't mastery. It wasn't purpose. It was survival. Over the next decade, Kenji would travel across the country, winning duels, collecting jewels, and building a fearsome reputation. But each victory left the same hollow echo. He fought because he could, because it made him feel alive. But he didn't understand why he fought, or what winning truly meant. That realization came only later, after duels against masters who expected perfection. Kenji learned that relying on strength alone was fragile. Chaos could win battles, but strategy, discipline, and inner control were what created lasting mastery. Back in San Francisco, Ethan wandered aimlessly in the rain, the hood of his jacket soaked, slipping slightly over his eyes. He ducked into a tiny bookstore tucked between a coffee shop and an apartment building. The smell of old paper and dust hit him like a warm wave. His eyes scanned the shelves, not really searching for anything, until one leather-bound book caught his attention, The Way of the Lone Warrior. He picked it up and opened it, reading the first lines. "Accept everything as it is. Do not stray from your path. Respect the world but do not depend on it for your existence." The words settled over him like a shock of clarity. For the first time in weeks, he stopped shaking, stopped pacing, and just sat on the floor among the books. The book told the story of Kenji Takahashi, a boy who had learned to master himself long before he could master the sword. Victory, Kenji discovered, was meaningless without purpose. Strength alone could not save him from failure, loss, or loneliness. Ethan's chest tightened as he realized how much his own life mirrored the story. He had been chasing jobs, recognition, and approval, not mastery of himself. Every rejection, every moment of indecision, was the result of relying on external validation. He closed his eyes, taking a slow, shaky breath. "Okay," he whispered. "I can do this. Not all at once. Just start." The first step was almost laughably small. He would open LinkedIn for 2 minutes tomorrow morning. No messages, no job applications, no expectations, just opening the page. But for the first time in weeks, the thought of tomorrow didn't paralyze him. It was a tiny movement, insignificant to anyone else, but monumental for him. It was a beginning. Just like Kenji had begun with a single duel, Ethan realized that he could rebuild everything one small, deliberate action at a time. The path would be slow, uncertain, and at times lonely, but it was a path. And for the first time since the world had collapsed around him, he felt the faintest glimmer of hope that he could walk it. Months passed, and Ethan's life had transformed in ways he never imagined. He was no longer the anxious, paralyzed young man staring helplessly at a blinking cursor. He had become deliberate, focused, and confident. Each morning began with a micro-action, kaizen, and his days were now guided by purpose. Ikigai, even his projects, though imperfect at first, improved steadily through wabi-sabi, and he had finally embraced the freedom of solitude, making choices without the need for external approval. Ethan leaned back in his chair one evening, notebook open, reviewing the past 6 months. His first consulting client had grown into 3, then 5. He wasn't chasing fame, nor was he obsessed with metrics or likes. Instead, he focused on impact, helping people learn, build, and grow. The strange calm that had started in small bursts now flowed steadily through him, like a river carving a path through stone. He thought back to Kenji Takahashi, who had lived centuries ago but whose story had guided him so profoundly. Kenji's victories had never been about the jewels or the applause, they had been about mastering the self. Learning to act with clarity, purpose, and discipline. Victory without understanding, without inner control, was empty, a lesson Ethan now lived daily. One afternoon, a message pinged on his phone. Claire, whom he hadn't contacted for months, reached out, not with questions or guilt, but with a simple note. "I've been watching your journey. Proud of what you've built." Ethan read it, felt nothing but quiet acknowledgement. No longing, no need for approval, just recognition of his own progress. He had walked his path, and it was enough. The final test of his transformation came not from work, not from achievement, but from a moment of choice. A startup he had admired reached out, offering a high-paying role with all the trappings of prestige. The old Ethan would have leapt at the chance. Desperate for validation, the new Ethan paused. He reviewed the 4 principles in his mind. Was this aligned with his Ikigai? Could he continue Kaizen in this role? Or would he be trapped in perfectionism, losing wabi-sabi and the freedom of solitude? He smiled. He politely declined. The choice wasn't easy, but it was clear. His path was his own, not defined by external expectations. Kenji's journey had been solitary, but it was not lonely. The boy who had walked alone in the mountains, who had perfected the sword through decades of patient practice, had discovered that real strength comes from self-sufficiency. Ethan now understood the paradox. When you learn to stand alone, you can walk with others freely, without fear of abandonment, without needing anyone to validate your existence. Collaboration becomes joy, not necessity. Connection becomes genuine, not dependent. Ethan looked around his apartment. Each small improvement, each imperfect launch, each quiet decision had built a foundation far stronger than any job, any recognition, or any external reward could provide. He realized that life's pressure, chaos, and uncertainty would always come. But with the 4 principles guiding him, he could navigate any challenge. Kaizen ensured progress. Ikigai provided direction. Wabi-sabi allowed for imperfection. And solitude gave resilience. Together, they formed a system for life itself. Sitting back, Ethan closed his eyes, taking a deep, slow breath. The city outside continued its relentless pace. But for the first time, he was not running to keep up. He was walking his path, step by step, guided by principles that transcended time and culture. Kenji's wisdom had crossed centuries to reach him, and now it was embodied in his actions, his choices, and his peace of mind. And this is the lesson for you, the viewer. Real mastery of work, of purpose, of life doesn't come from chasing perfection, recognition, or speed. It comes from small, consistent actions, from discovering your true purpose, from embracing imperfection as a tool, and from cultivating the inner strength to stand alone. When you internalize these principles, you are no longer swayed by circumstance or opinion. You are free. Thank you for staying with this story all the way through. If Kenji and Ethan's journeys inspired you, leave a comment below sharing your thoughts or the small steps you're going to take starting today. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, so you won't miss future videos filled with life-changing lessons and stories that can transform your mind and your life. Remember, the path is yours. Start small, stay consistent, embrace imperfection, and build your strength from within. You might just discover that the greatest victories come not from the world, but from mastering yourself.